Now, do this type of treatment of a child, can it stunt their intellectual growth?
Yes, it can.
Can it stunt their psychological growth?
It can, yes.
Is there a reasonable likelihood when a person engages in this type of behavior towards a child that there is going to be psychological injury or mental injury as a result?
You said, is there
a likelihood?
Yes, there is a substantial likelihood.
Now, in this case, did you see, based on the evidence that you were able to review, is there a pattern of isolation of the child?
Yes, it's he for nearly 3 years was isolated in the cell for the better part of each day. As far as hours, it sounds like when he wasn't at school, let's say he's at school for 8 hours, he's then in the box for 14, 16 hours a day.
Now,
on a daily basis, so a very much established pattern.
Did you, and I think you say isolation, is it fair to say that there was also a pattern of confinement here of the child?
Yes, they're essentially one and the same in this case, it would seem.
Were you able to observe a pattern of a deprivation of the child?
Yes, there was emotional deprivation, there was physical deprivation, there was intellectual or cognitive deprivation where he wasn't really provided much in the way of anything to stimulate his mind or to entertain himself. I mean,
is isolation, confinement, and deprivation considered an acceptable way to punish a child?
No, it's not. It would be counter-therapeutic to disciplining a child. But we're not talking about a 5-year-old who might have a temper tantrum and you want to give them a timeout for 5 minutes in their room. I mean, that's something. Timeouts are an accepted form of discipline.
So does it make a difference, in your opinion, the duration of the isolation, confinement, and duration and deprivation?
Oh, it's a huge difference, sure. If it's a short duration for younger children, it can be appropriate. But again, I'm talking in terms of minutes, not hours. But in terms of doing it every day, day after day, for most of the day, there's just no comparison to, say, a short timeout with a younger child.
And even just looking at the time frame that happened in Florida, those 5 to 6 weeks, that amount of time frame, is that harmful?
Yes, undoubtedly it would be for about any child, I'm sure.
Now, would you consider, or would it be correct to characterize what the treatment that he was subjected to as solitary confinement?
Yes.
Is solitary confinement within the psychological and psychiatric and medical community, is that something that is considered appropriate for a child?
No, and in fact, years ago, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, which I'm a member of, came out with a statement strongly arguing against children even in juvenile detention centers having solitary confinement because it's detrimental psychological impacts.
Is it considered damaging to brain development of a child?
It is, yes. That's another aspect of it, is that it can cause literally changes to one's brain structure.
Now, even within the setting of a criminal justice system where it might be part of a child subjected to that in the criminal justice system, is it acceptable for them to be in long-term solitary confinement?
No, it is not.
Even in those circumstances of a criminal justice system, is a child, when confined to a cell, given access to water and facilities to relieve themselves?
Well, yes, it would be very different. There's a bed in the room, there's a toilet, there's a sink where they always have access to water, so they wouldn't be subject to dehydration, for instance. There's officers where they can always call out to somebody if they need something. There's lighting it would never be pitch black in a juvenile detention center. So they would not be subjected to that sort of sensory deprivation of being in a totally dark room for hours at a time. And they're served meals. There wouldn't be any holding back of meals as some sort of punishment for a child into the detention center.
Now, discussing the isolation specifically, is there a detrimental impact to a child to be socially and physically isolated the way that Ronan Ferriter was from the rest of the family?
I'm sorry.
Is there a negative impact associated with the social and physical isolation?
Well, that's part of the trauma of this, is that he's kept from having a normal family environment where he comes out and is socializing with his peers and spending time with his parents and doing things together and having fun and just having a normal family experience. He's segregated as soon as he gets home, and the children all know he's in the box, but it's giving him the message that you're not valued, you're unloved, you're not important, you're not part of this family, you're being rejected.
Is it sending a message that he fundamentally is bad?
Yes, and that you're right, and that you're bad. You're not able to be part of this family because you're bad.
Now, during the course of reviewing the evidence in this case, did you become aware of whether or not his confinement in the structure in the garage was absolute? Was it at all times?
With infrequent exceptions, yes. I mean, he did occasionally have some after-school activities, as I understand, more so I think in Arizona than when he got to Florida, where he might be allowed to run track or do some track at school.
And he went to school?
Yes.
You saw that. And there were, did you find that there were some also infrequent examples of when he was allowed to interact with the family?
Yes, he went to, for instance, siblings' softball practices. They did go out to, I think they went out to dinner a few times.
Does the isolation and confinement and deprivation, does it have to be absolute, like at all times, in order for it to be harmful?
No, it doesn't, no.